YouTube, and welcome to CineSiya, a hub for your local Filipino films. So, the bar exams just recently concluded last September 14, and it has been approximately 3 weeks since then. I want to give all our future lawyers and currently new lawyers a well received congratulations. You all deserve it. And I hope that you'll be able to fully serve your country in the future. So, when we talk about this, when we talk about law or anything about the bar exams, as long as it's in the same field, there's one movie that I remember, or one movie that comes up to my mind, and that has to be The Bar Boys. The Bar Boys was released on August 2017, so it has been well around 8 years since its initial release, and it was directed by Oebanda, which recently released a new movie called Balota starring Marian Rivera. So if you saw that, maybe you'll get a hint on as to how he works with his movies. So before anything else, let's learn more about the characters that make up the main cast of Bar Boys. So there are in total 4 of them. First, there's Carl Carlson, starred by Enzo Pineda. Basically, in any movie, siya yung tipo ng guy na mayaman and may father or like family member na constantly up his ass, constantly telling him that he could do better and that they should follow in their steps because, well, that's what they believe is perfect for them. But in reality, he kind of has a rebellious side. Totally, hindi naman rebellious, pero more of a side na he doesn't want to be his father. Yes, mayaman siya, pero there are aspects of his dad na hindi niya gustong makuha. He wants to be happier. Next is Eric Vicencio, played by none other than Carlo Aquino, one of our country's heartthrobs. So, si Eric Vicencio naman, if kanina si Carl Carlson na mayaman, andito na naman tayo kay Eric Vicencio na impoverished.
By providence, impoverished and squalor.
Or at least, that's what he says he is. Pero, ang difference nilang dalawa is that si Eric mayroong very loving na family na would go through extreme lengths just to make sure na he'd get his happy ending, or at least they'd make sure na he'd achieve his dreams of going to law school and graduating from it. Now, moving forward to Toran Garcia. He is in the middle of it all. He doesn't exactly have a problem with finance, nor does he have a problem with his family. But the thing that highlights Turan, or what sets him apart from the main cast, is that he constantly faced moral and ethical dilemmas during his time at law school. Between the three, siya lang yung parang makikita mo palagi na may ibang side story except from law school. And then last, we have Joshua, played by Kian Cipriano. If there is one thing that differentiates him from his friends, well, sad to say, but it's the fact that he didn't pass law school. So he wasn't much present throughout the entirety of the film. Instead, he focused on his modeling career. And let me tell you that it went good for him at the end of the movie. So, moving on to the plot, ang daming magandang subplots dito. Oh, what about the plot now? You know, despite not attending law school at all, I think that it perfectly represented the environment or college life itself in general as a whole, it was a perfect depiction of that. Hindi siya yung masyadong OA na parang gino-glorify lahat ng hakbang sa law school na parang kada galaw mo may kakanta agad, similar to that. It was realistic in a way na hindi ka ma-detach masyado from reality when you watch it, because it was true to reality na when you enter such a place, it's not about happiness. It's not simply about learning law. There are different elements, aspects that you're learning here. So, between all the characters, they had unique storylines which made them into the character they were at the very end. Una dyan, si Chris Carlson. So, mentioned kanina na Chris was mainly struggling when it came to his father because his father wanted nothing but the best for him. But yung idea ng best ng father niya is kind of worrying for Chris because it was going to set him apart from his girlfriend, Rachel, played by Anna Luna. And from there on, from the movie, every time that we see Chris, he was always trying to make sure that he had perfect grades, that he was on top of his class, up to the point na he'd fail his classmates just to make sure na he had uno. Pero to be fair, it wasn't his fault that his classmates failed. Aside from that, there was also his plotline with his girlfriend na si Rachel. So when it comes to her, she was very kikai. So there was a stark difference between the two of them as characters. But nonetheless, they found love in each other. Pero in the middle of the movie, Rachel suddenly broke up with Chris saying na he didn't have time for her anymore. And yes, I think that was a very valid reason for them to break up or for her to want a break from him. And from there on forward, Chris started to become more laser focused on his studies. And then next, we have Eric. Eric Vicenjo's plotline. Ang difference kasi talaga, Eric kind of had self-doubt sa simula pa lang. The moment that he was accepted into law school, like after their first day, nag-focus talaga siya with his studies for the reason na he saw Chris and Toran as naturally gifted, as someone, as people actually who was just naturally smart. And from there on, kapag makikita natin si Eric, it was mostly when he was studying, lagi siyang ngud-ngud talaga with his books, notebooks, and if hindi siya yung nakangudngod lang sa notebooks, we always had a view of his father preparing for his work behind them. And I think yung cinematography during those scenes was just chef's kiss, absolute cinema. Or at least that was just for me because it kind of represented that while Eric was studying, his father was always behind his back, that he'd always be behind him, just a step backward. And then next, si Toran. Wala naman siyang problema with his family, di ba? Wala rin naman siyang problem with his finance. He was able to go through law school without any hindrance, like external hindrance. Aside from his fraternity, ang reason lang naman talaga na sumali si Turan was to get protection from law school. So, he joined Alpha Beta Gamma, which is yung name ng fraternity nila. From there, parang he always had a moral dilemma because nung first time pa lang na nasali talaga si Toran or from the initiation rites, he experienced physical abuse. So, parang from there, he kind of like had to think twice about it. Pero somehow, sa dulo, he managed to go through law school being in the same fraternity. Oh my God, Toran. Pero at the same time, parang when it was his turn to be the initiator, to participate in the initiation, pero he wasn't the one on the receiving end. Nakita niya na one of his supposed fraternity brothers hindi na pumasok because of what happened to them. One wanted to back out so much that he admitted or he followed na the frat's rules na he needed to say that he was gay for him to escape. And from there on, parang may tension na between Toran and the fraternity he joined. And then next, we have lastly Joshua. He was in and out. The only moments that we saw him was in the beginning, a slight appearance in the middle of the movie, and then at the very end. So in the middle, ang naging appearance ni Joshua there was when the three were studying and he claimed na masyado na daw kinakain ng sistema yung tatlo. And for me, I feel like that was a good wake up for me as a viewer because everything na sinasabi ng law school boys, I was fully believing it as someone na hindi naman nag-i-study ng law because it somehow made sense to my ears and to my brain. Parang, yes, some of what they were saying could have been passed with common sense. Pero yet, since they were in law school, they needed to make sure that it went through due process. And aside from that, despite not following with what his parents wanted, unlike Chris, he was a pretty successful model turned actor at the very end. So, parang ayun lang talaga yung naging, hindi naman sa ayun lang. That's the difference. That's what makes Joshua unique among his friends. So, special mention. Sa movie, I adored Attorney Hernandez's character, and she was played by Odette Khan, a veteran actress. The main reason because I saw lots of mentors in her when I was in elementary, high school, senior high school, and even college. I always experienced professors and mentors like her. Those mentors na super strict, pero they always made sure to push you to your fullest potential. They weren't cold-hearted per se. They just wanted to make sure that you were prepared for superiors that had that exact personality para hindi ka masyadong maging shaken down, kumbaga. So, for the review, I think I pretty much covered it earlier when I said na for me, it was realistic. So, for me, being realistic is good. Because, yes, movies are supposed to take the audiences away from reality. But at the same time, it was a good platform to give voice for them to see the reality behind what students need to go through when it comes to law school, or in general, it is also a good perception of college life. And the cinematography as well, oh my god, I liked it. Super calming, super indie, and at the same time, it was very pleasing to the eyes. Also, I like the scenes, or I like the scene with Eric studying, and then in the background, what played was the music that his father suggested. would be perfect for him to play while he was focused. So, all in all, I give the Power Boys 4 centavos out of 5. So, that's all for the Power Boys. If you guys want more videos like this, comment down below. For aside from that, I have an until next video starring the nationwide's favorite movie, family movie, The Four Sisters and a Wedding. Bye!